guys, it's Laurie of Laurie's Sewing. Today I am going to work on a project where I'm going to try to clean my June Taylor Heirloom Stitchers Shape and Press and my sleeve presser board. Sleeve board, that's it, it's called a sleeve board. They're both absolutely filthy and they haven't been cleaned since I moved from Kansas, which was over 20 years ago. So for this project, I'm going to start out using basically an heirloom cleaning solution of warm water, white vinegar, and baking soda. I am not affiliated with or sponsored by these companies. These are just products that I happen to have. Okay, so we all have done that science experiment where we add baking soda and vinegar to warm water, and we know what happens. I'm going to use my skewer as a stirring device, and for the project it's approximate. You want 1 baking soda, which that was a huge glob, 7 ounces of water right there, and to that I'm going to add 4 vinegars. It's going to go crazy, so I'm going to do it in small amounts. Okay. Now there are recipes for this online, so you could easily mix up something with a recipe that you found online. This is just something that I've used in the past, and I just kind of do what I kind of want to do. Now my water is probably about 120 degrees, so it's a little bit more warm than what most people would consider warm. I think warm is around 100, 110 degrees. But as you can see, both sides of this have sustained a lot of icky wear and tear and dirt and grime over the years. This is a piece of wool felt, and I'm just going to rub this on, and we're going to see. It will have to dry first before I'll know if this was successful. And one way that you can dry these types of items is to use a hairdryer. I'm being quite generous with the cleaning solution because at this point I don't really think I have much to lose. If I don't get it clean, then I'm going to have to either replace it or make a cover, which I would hate to lose my grid lines and my bishop. And on the other side there are some lace shape options, so I really don't want to lose those. There's a little spot right here in the corner. See if I can get that where you can see it. And it's been so long, honestly I couldn't tell you what these stains are. Some it just happened, you know, over a period of time, and some I think were as a result of moving. Okay, that doesn't want to come out. I'm gonna turn it. You can also use like a soft brush if you have like a soft bristle toothbrush that you're not using. I'll often try to remember to pick one up. You know, they're not that expensive, and as a cleaning tool in the sewing room, they're pretty handy to have. going to use this to kind of press some of the excess water out. Okay. This might be chalk or some type of ink. We'll soon find out. I'm going to say it's probably chalk. It looks like there might be some regular gel ink on it. Not sure how that happened. But if you have been following me for a while, you've probably heard me talk about this particular item. It was used often in my shop by anyone. It was available to use. So if someone needed to come in and measure something or block out a bishop, or if they were doing some lace shaping, which I'll show you the other side in just a moment. Okay. Then they could use this board, and I can see that, you know, it either just was not respected very well, or some of these stains could easily be protein, you know, just as a result of being handled. I believe that might be blood, the way it's reacting here. It could be that someone was pinning down a heart shape in lace and poked their finger with a pen. That's very likely. So, considering this has probably been on here for over 20 years, I don't mind not wearing gloves to clean this. It has definitely reduced. And this is clearly, oh, you can't see it. Right. Oh, goodness me. Here we go. These look like finger marks. Like somebody just grabbed it with their hand and their hand was filthy. So it may have occurred during our move from Kansas to Washington State. I do feel pretty good about this. I may have to do another round once this dries. It is clearly cleaner than it was when I started, so I'm going to let this dry. Okay, now this is horribly filthy. The interesting thing about these is that if you have the hand strength, you might be able to remove them. They've got, you know, the ties back here. But it looks as if if I were to remove it, it would just be destroyed, and I'd have to try to, make a new one. And I don't want to. So I'm going to try to clean it while it's on the board. And if not, that's not possible, then we'll go a different route. We'll figure out something. But, I mean, as you can see, it's also suffered a lot. And again, it was used in my shop. It was just an open use item. I kind of get the feeling none of what I just did was on, as far as cleaning, I don't think it was on in frame. I got too involved. So what I did is I took some baking soda and just sprinkled that on. And then I took my little piece of felt, kind of tapped that in. Okay. It does not seem to be responsive to this cleaning mixture. So, and I wondered if that would be the case. So my second thought was, I have some Resolve carpet cleaner that I might try. I will have to rinse it out. I don't want Resolve getting on anything. But that's that. Now we're going to take a look at the other side. It just has a few little spots. I'm not seeing anything too awful. Just a few. Just needs to be just an overall wipe down with this. I don't know if you can tell, but this is just your basic muslin fabric, probably the 180 wide, the real big piece. Okay, so there it is, and once again, no affiliation, non-sponsored, it's just what I happen to have. And I want you to know that before I use an old scourgy toothbrush, which I found, I'm going to wipe it off, clean it off in this solution, because I don't want to transfer anything, you know, that might be still lingering in this cleaning brush, which I can see some pretty icky stuff in there. Okay, let me back you up a little bit. So this is just your plain old carpet cleaner, high traffic area. And it was a thought I had last night when I was thinking about this project. So let's just see. Ooh. Wow. Lovely. Smells good. Okay. I'm just going to kind of brush it in, leave it. There we go. And I will leave this here, go dry this off with the hair dryer. And when that's dry, we'll come back and see what this looks like. So that took about 7 minutes. Well, a little bit more than, a little bit closer to 8, but it was like 7 minutes and 57 seconds. So we'll say 8 minutes to dry. And there's a little bit of stain left, but not to the point that I can't, I'm not happy about it. But I did want to check this real quick. Oh, I'm not seeing a whole heck of a lot of improvement on this. I don't exactly know how I am going to proceed. I might give it another douse and myself in the process. And maybe work it in. I honestly thought the carpet cleaner would work. But then you do have to think to yourself, you know, this stain has been on here for 20 years. And while it was stored, before we moved into this house, it was stored in our old house, which we lived in for, gosh, 20 years. Well, no, it was like 19, almost 20 years. And it was stored in a room that had heat. It was a heated room. And I don't know what the stain is, so I could be treating it. My gosh. I've talked to several people today, and none of us can put words together. My lordy mercy. Anyway, I don't think it's even a little bit better. I think it's exactly as it was when I started. I don't see any improvement. When I go back to edit, I'll see if I can do a side-by-side freeze frame to see if we can tell. Yeah, it's a mess. And this for sure has not improved right here. It's still just as dark and stained looking. I wouldn't want to be pressing a sleeve and have that bleed through. And that would be just exactly what would happen to me. 1,500 people could use this without a single problem, and then I would come along and use it and it would destroy my sleeve. So I'm going to recover this. Okay, so as far as this one goes, I'm very pleased so far with the outcome. It's not 100% dry. I'll move that out of the way. Hang on to that. It's not 100% dry. There's still a little bit. You can even kind of make out the water line. That's not dry. That's still slightly damp. But the stain that was right here is so much lighter that I feel fairly confident it's not likely going to bleed onto something. And actually it feels cleaner too. I'm really happy with, you know, with the exception of this, whatever this is right here. The fingerprints have almost disappeared. I mean, I can still see a little. I feel like that water that I've been using is just utterly filthy. So I'm going to try just a little bit of vinegar. Hang on. I'm really loving how clean this is looking. And oddly, as it dries, this is starting to look less awful. I mean, it's clearly still very much stained, but I'm still trying to decide what I want to do about it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this up. I don't need it right now, and it's slightly damp, just in a few spots, not real bad. Even this right here that was so particularly awful has managed to lighten up considerably. And the other side, there was where was that stain? Was it this way? No, it was right here. This was particularly bad, and you can barely see it. Now a lot, like this right here feels dry to me, and I do see some water stain right here. I may, and right here as well, I may rinse this with just some clean hot water if it doesn't dry and go away. That feels pretty dry right there. And I can see there's definitely a watermark. I don't think it's showing up on the camera. Yeah, a little bit. There it is, right there. So we'll see what I end up doing with that, but I'm happier with this. It's not nearly as awful. Now, there, like I said earlier, there are still some wet spots, like right here. Okay, I think there were some things that were edited out of the video that I just finished the other day, yesterday. Thursday, today is Friday, and I need to review those. I'm going to hang on to my little design. I don't need it anymore for this project, but I don't want to lose it just in case. So I'm going to keep all of these together, and I'll let this be a bookmark so that I'll be able to see if I need to reference these little flowers in here, then I'll know exactly where they are. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to talk about was, originally I had said, because I honestly believed that I was not going to go through the lamb and onto the back and back through and back and back and back, creating knots and loose threads back here. However, I did do 3 of these roses right here, and those are spiderweb roses, or that one is. So I had done 3, this one and then one here and one here. And then I did a lazy daisy all the way over here, and I had leaves mixed in, and they were just barely hanging on to the lamb. And I realized that that was my folly. This is not going to support all of that embroidery in a good way to prevent a baby from pulling it or getting a finger caught in it or whatever. So I am going to go ahead and do stitches that will go all the way through, with the exception of the outline stitches for the lamb. I feel like they're pretty well embedded into the terry cloth, and I feel safe using those as they are. So how am I going to hide all the loose threads on the back? I'm going to take a piece of terry cloth. I'll probably trim off this serged blanket stitched edge. I'm going to fold it under. Obviously that little label will go. Stitch around that, and then put this right over the top and applique stitch this down. Now I may end up hating that, but at this point I feel like I don't really have a choice. So that's what's going to happen. It's just got to be that way. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so pretty much then I'm going to go ahead and leave this this spiderweb rose. For some reason it feels pretty sturdy. I may go back and do a little bit more. We'll see what I end up doing with that. But we all know how to do these basic stitches. I do recommend that you use 3 strands of floss or less. So I'm using a very large eye needle, and I'm doing some blended floss. I don't think you saw that. It just kind of ended up being removed from the video, but I will show you eventually when I get to that part. The white mixed with the yellow gives such a lovely shade of very pale lemon yellow that's just perfect. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, it's just awful. I just hate having these big knots. But that's why I'm going to cover it up with that piece of terry cloth. Okay. So with that fairly stable on the back, I can now go ahead and do a lazy daisy. I don't want there to be any twists in my floss, so I'm going to have to take the time to untwist, and I'll just start on this side where this flower over here is. That's twisted. There we go. All right. So when I come back, I'll have done quite a bit more. In fact, I might even just go ahead and try to finish it up. It's just a series of lazy daisies, a few little knots, same thing across the bottom, and we're using this blue, and I will have blended up some of the white and yellow. This really isn't white, it's more of a cream. So I've been embroidering and talking on the phone and researching certain things that have nothing to do with sewing and everything to do with dogs. So anyway, here I am at this point right here. I've gotten quite a bit of the neck floral parts done, and I've decided I need to do a little bit of work on the eye. I feel like it kind of has a startled look that I'm not really thrilled with, and I know in my mind that that is very important. It needs to have a soft eye. We don't want to create aversion to certain things, you know, in the early stages of life by having some sort of a startled look to this poor little lamb. So I'm going to work on the eye and kind of give it a little bit softer, happier, cheerful, less, oh dear Lord, what is happening look. So I'll back you up where you can see as I do. Let me grab my skewer. So I did this knot right here just now, and it's sitting on top of a colonial knot. So as you can imagine, the colonial knot just kind of disappeared down into the fibers. Okay, oops, I accidentally pulled that with my finger because I was looking somewhere else. Let's see, did it? Nope. You can almost always fix your French knots from the back, unless what you're doing is intentionally creating a embroidery piece where the back is supposed to be gorgeous. And in this case, I'm giving myself permission to not worry about it because I'm going to cover it all up with another piece of terry cloth. And it won't show, and I'm not going to be upset by what's on the back. And that's helped my whole attitude about the project, to be honest. Because, to be honest, it's a fiddly project, and I needed permission from myself to enjoy it. I think to be honest, the main reason that it's fiddly is because the fleece does not like this needle, and I can't use, well, I'm not going to use a needle that will stress out my eyes. I'll just put it that way. So I've had to make some compromises and concessions and decisions about what I was doing. So there you have it. Now, another thing I wanted to do was I wanted to do some yellow, very pale yellow flower, here we go, buds. So I'm going to take one strand of this yellow floss, just one, and I'm going to take these, I'm going to remove one, and then I'll have two of these creamy white strands. And I'm going to take the yellow strand and I'm going to mix it in with these creamy white strands that have managed to knot, because why not? Why wouldn't they? Okay. So, one yellow and two of the maybe eggshell color. Right. Now, I do recommend, if you blend, please make sure that all three of your floss strands are the same length. It does not work. If one of your floss strands is shorter or is longer than two, it can really throw off your project. Alright, that was 5 wraps. I just stabbed myself. Of course I did. Alright, and I do really like the way just having that extra little bit of color, 6, 7, in the floss, it really makes a big difference. It sets it apart from the non-blended, clearly. Right there, or there. You can honestly see the difference. Okay, let me show you. Oh, that is just precious. Alright, I'm going to tie this knot and I'll show you what it looks like. And I'm probably going to sign off on this video, and we'll just continue in the next video with the rest of what I have to do on this little embroidery project, because I have to go get some specialty ingredients tonight, because I am going to be cooking a special dinner tomorrow, and I want to make sure I have all of the items that I need. And I don't usually do the grocery store because walking is difficult for me, but I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm gonna try. Oh, you know what? Before I do what I just said, I'm gonna grab a, hang on just a minute. Okay, I'm gonna take a piece of this darker gray floss right here off of my other embroidery project. So I have these, and I'm going to take 2 strands of this. Okay, and I'm going to try to soften up the side just a little bit. And I might actually do a little bit more of the embroidery around the lamb using this darker color. But let's just see what happens if we use a little bit of a darker color and we make a wedge. Or we unthread our needle 4 times in the process of making this eye a little softer. It looks less startled and a little bit more warm, like you would expect from a little baby animal, and not startled and terrified, which is something that we don't really want to see in a little baby animal. Okay, yeah, I definitely think that was the look I needed right there. Okay. Makes me very happy. Okay. I do. I think that is exactly what that little baby needed. Okay. Much happier with our little guy or girl or baby lamb. We'll just leave it at that. Okay guys, because I'm cooking tomorrow, I don't know where in the scheme of things this video will fall. I'll either get this up on Saturday or Sunday, or it'll be Monday. Probably Sunday. We'll see. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I treasure each and every one of you. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.